Hi, good afternoon, good morning, good evening for most of us. Today, our training event Shine and Work, Shine at Your Work. And as you know, some of them already know that the FC was formed in 1963 by three missionaries, Pastor Moses Chow and Mr. and Mrs. Choi, to reach out to Chinese intellectuals. FC has four different ministry campus missions such like CMC conference, next step ministry, and literature such like a lot of Chinese resource and publishing and bookstore, and also the training ministry. In the past couple years that we have many different training events on site or online. So if you want to know more update information about our upcoming event, you can look at our website fctraining.org, or you can scan our QR code. And today is very honored to invite Elder Elaine to share with us. She has a lot of experience, so I will let her share about her experience. And before giving the time to Elaine Kung, let's have the short prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you so much we can gather here to listen to your servant, uh, Elder Elaine, to share with us about a lot of work place that how to be a good testimony, how we can prepare our in the interview, many different things related to our work. May your Holy Spirit be with us, guide us, and let us to know what we can do. Help us to be humble and obedient and have the kind and then the quiet heart to listen through what you want us to learn through today's event. And in Jesus' name we pray. Amen. And let's give
Amen.
the time to Elaine.
Thank you, Angela. Hello, everyone. Yeah, good afternoon, good evening, and even good morning. We have people from all over the world because this time is working for most Asia and America. Probably Europe will be a little bit too late. So I'd like for you to join me and welcome each other and put in the chat where you're from. And Angela can help me read those as I'm not able to see the chat as well. And then also, if you are a young person, teenager, let us know too. I want to get an idea how many of you are young people. So welcome to this very special kickoff talk on Shine at Your Work. I'm so excited to share so much that I've learned for decades with you. So today's topic is from getting a job to excelling at work, skills for interviews and performance review. So it's a very big topic. Any of the topic can span 2 hours. So I'm gonna just warn you, I have 70 minutes and I'm gonna share a lot of examples and tools with you. Don't be concerned if it's overwhelming. Most people find it overwhelming. So you can watch this video again and you can take screenshot and capture examples of many good questions to ask and good answers to give during interviews or during your performance review. So it's a very broad topic, but very practical. So today it's a kickoff for our course coming up in August, Rise and Shine. Same time, same right here in the 4 Sundays that will tell you more about it over time. And I saw many questions coming in from your registration. So I look forward to answering the question today with you. So let's dive in. So where do we have people from, Angela?
We have China, New York, Philly, Columbus, Texas, Ohio, yeah,
Everywhere, right? Coast to
California.
coast,
Yeah, I
California,
think East
yes.
Coast, West Coast, Central, and China. Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, I'm sharing with you this very big and important topic based on my experience working for AT&T for 33 years. Most of you probably heard of our company. We invented communication, the telephone and transistors, and we invented so much through AT&T Bell Lab. I'm wearing this AT&T logo shirt today. Special time to really thank my company investing in me because they trained me. They put me through graduate school at Princeton. Shortly after I graduated from Cornell, studied electrical engineering and material science. AT&T also sent me to many executive education and gave me leadership coaching, executive training. So they sent me to Columbia, Cornell, UPenn, and Wharton. So I had a lot of good exposure, both from education, training, hands-on experience, and most importantly, from the Bible. The Bible gives us a lot of wonderful principle and wisdom, how to handle from getting a job to excelling at your work. On top of all that, I also do a lot of interviews on behalf of my company, hiring people, on behalf of my school, Cornell and Princeton. I've been their admissions interviewer as an alum to help the schools for 22 years. So every year I interview over 10 students from these two schools. So over the years, I've interviewed hundreds and hundreds or even thousands of students. I also help my students doing mock interviews. So if you join us in August, a lot of those too, I can help you in our one-on-one when you apply to join one-on-one with me. And we can work through the right answer, the right resume, and the right roadmap for your career and for your life. For all ages, any one of you, from teenager, college student, young adult, parents, getting ready to retire, all ages, anyone who learn and practice English in your work and where you live, that is a good way to learn. So I have given about 30 some talks a month during COVID at the peak season, and I do about 20 some one-on-one session every month. So I welcome you to join our course to learn together. So based on this experience, I'm going to share with you very big topic, how do you shine your work? So for the students, you also want to prepare for your interview. For some schools like Cornell and Princeton require interview. And when you grow up and in the future look for jobs, you all learn how to do interviews. So we'll start with job search consideration. So I'm going to give you some quick ideas. How can you prepare a winning resume? What you do before, during, and after interviews. So a very quick overview. Then we're going to go really deep. How do you ace your interview? We want to ace our exams in the same way you want to ace your interview, in a biblical and practical ways. It's all wisdom comes from God. The beginning of the fear of the Lord is our beginning of the wisdom. So we want to always seek the biblical approach and also practical approach. So the ACE, those of you who know me, I love acrostic. So ACE, we're going to go deep into the 6A, 6C, and 6S on the express your value add. And then at the end, hopefully we have enough time, then we'll talk about performance review, the 5W and the 1H of performance review. How do you grow from being awful to average to awesome? So are you ready? So we're going to have these 70 minutes to go through it. And then sometimes I would ask you a question and you can respond in the chat so we can make it interactive. So whatever work we do, whatever school you choose to go to, as you prepare for these interviews, I suggest that we want to seek first his kingdom and his righteousness. And all these things will be added to us as well. And that's my experience, whether throughout college, graduate school, work, my family, my marriage, my ministry, it's all really putting God first in an amazing way. God surprises us with above and beyond what we even ask for. So for me, 42 years as a Christian, God has never failed me, has never disappointed me. So it's been an incredible journey. So I encourage you to start off, whether what school you applied for, where you choose to go to school, what job you want to go and where you want to move, or even who you're going to marry and so forth. So in our course in August, we're going to go deep to understand how to seek God's will in these 5 steps. God's scripture, God's spirit, God's support, the surrounding, and the different tools that we use in the surrounding, and then the sovereignty. So we'll go deep into those at the course in August. And very special acrostic in the Bible, the one and only one I found is ASK, that when we seek first his kingdom and his righteousness, we ask, and it will be given to us. We seek and you will find. You knock and the door will be open to you as well. And I share with you, in my 40-some years as a Christian, God has never failed me and has never disappointed me. And of course, there are times that I pray for this job. It wasn't given to me. And there's a reason for that. I learned how to accept when God answered my prayer in 3 ways, right? It could be yes, green light, good to go. That's what God wants for you as well. Great. Sometimes yellow light, it takes a long time. There's a prayer I did for 40-some years and God finally answered. It took a long time to wait. Sometimes could be red light, that nope, it's not the right thing for you, not at this time, may not even be in the future. It's a red light, so it's a no. So as we prepare, each one of us, or we're already in our career, we know we need all these, right? Your good resume, the CV, good knowledge and education. If you're a teenager or a college student, you're studying, you need to have good job experience. And that job experience can come from your home, how you serve your family, can be from volunteering, can be from co-op or internship, or can be for jobs or summer jobs. And I actually have a group of 12 interns this summer helping us in Call to Work, and I invited them to join us. So all these are valuable learning to show that you're hardworking, that you don't just work hard, that you also work smart. And it helps you to build network and make contacts and help you to strengthen your different abilities, your leadership, your communication, and have a good reputation. And people say, wow, if we need this kind of work, I know someone who's exactly with the reputation, and they persevere and they do a good job. So all these are the fruit of your career, whether it's your education career or your work career, that these fruits will be what you're going to grow and bear fruit throughout your life journey. So starting to find a job, what do employers look for? So this research shows us, you take a look, tell me, the total of how many qualities are here? 12. And then out of these 12 qualities, look at this. How many are soft skills and how many are hard skills? Hard skills are the ones that you learn by education and training. Soft skills are things that you learn through interaction with people. Sometimes school will train you in some soft skill, but ultimately you need to put the skill into practice. So from the 10, so out of the 12, there are only 10 that are soft skill. Did you see? And only 2 that are hard skill. And these are only 2, the basic math and writing, reading. So you can tell that these typical qualities, a lot of them isn't what you easily get from school education. Education can give you various hard skills. So all the more, I encourage you to grow your soft skill by working with people, by leading groups in your school, in your work, and in the community, and really working well with people in internship. So let's now look at, how do I look for a job and what are some considerations? So let's define what a dream job is. I have an acrostic for that, of course. And then what do we do before the interview? Then what do you do during, and what do you do after? So let's look into that. So the dream job stands for D, you got to do your homework, soul searching. So in our course in August, we'll give you many tools to help you soul search yourself, to get to know your 5P model, to understand your vision, your mission statement, to craft your personal mission statement. It's very exciting to know a direction, where you want to go, where you are now and where you want to go and how you're going to get there. So do homework. Ours to research the company or research the school, right? If you're applying to school, obviously, you're going to research the different school. What are their requirements? How does that compare to my skill and my score and my grades, right? So research the company, exercise, interview, and your resume. We'll have a lot of detail on that. And then act out stories and your body language. I also give you some tools. How do you practice your body language? Because it's a very important part of your communication and your interview interaction. So we have a tool called SWOT in our course that we're going to go deep to go analyze and even listen to each other and your family. What's your SWOT? And then M is to manage your timeline and project. When you apply for a job, when you apply for school, have a very clear goal, deadline, due date. For job searching, you may not have a real deadline per se, not like college application. Still, give yourself some milestone and then work out baby steps from here to there and what you need to get done. Your resume, your 5P tools, and so forth. And then you get yourself ready. Do mock interview and get ready to submit your jobs and get ready for the interview. So we would now look at how do you start after you do your research. We need to build an impressive resume. Your resume is what really gets the attention of the people who spend very little time on the resume to grant you an interview, right? Because your goal is to get hired. So your resume is the first tool, or your LinkedIn profile that they would first exposure to get to know you. And of course, if you know the company and you know the hiring manager already, I have a series of talk discussing about networking and how do you get your personal brand out there. And we'll include that in our August course as well. How do you know others? How do you let others know you? And how do you share your personal brand? So there are tools to demonstrate that. So today we'll focus on the resume. So, years ago, this is the research that people have done, and this number have actually scaled in a big way. So very intense job market. In 1 or 4 HR manager, they probably receive 50 resumes for each job listing. In fact, I think it's a lot more intensive now. A few hundreds of jobs, few hundred resumes for each job listing. So very intense. So how do you get that attention? How do you get that eyeball when they hold the resume, whether in their hand or in the electronic computer? Just all these resumes flooding in. So here's a way if you could answer in the chat. How many resumes do you think each hiring manager may receive for each open position? Go ahead and type it in. And then how much time do you think each hiring person or manager or HR manager would look at your resume? Go ahead and type it in. How long do you think they stay in looking at your resume? Someone say 200 resume per job, easily 200. And then someone say 5 minutes, 2 minutes, 3 to 4 seconds on the resume. Yeah, 10 seconds. Well, here's the answer. Yeah, we don't get minutes from them. You're only going to get seconds. So literally, someone was right, 5 to 10 seconds on your resume. And then if they're interested, so your resume at a glance had to be very appealing. So I'm going to show you an example how to make it appealing and attractive so you can get their attention. So if they're interested, they saw keywords that match to what they need, 25 to 30 seconds. And if they're very interested, they will spend a minute, but no more. So that's very, very short time. So your resume has to be very appealing, and of course has to be accurate and has to be relevant and has to be truthful, right? So usually hiring manager or HR manager would expect 77% relevant experience they see in the resume. And then they want specific accomplishment. At least that's 48% of them would look for that. And then 41% would look for some resume customized to the position that is open right now. So let's look at some example of how we want to do a winning resume. So keywords, right? They need to pop out, right? When I was working for 30 some years, my boss always tell me, make it pop, make your resume, make your PowerPoint pop so that the keywords are very outstanding, easy to see right away. So you use bold, italic, and of course, you don't want to make it too complicated. So it has to pop. So here are some keywords that typical hiring manager would look for. Problem solving, 56%. All the career and professions that we do, in our whole life, it's about solving problems, whether it's a technical, medical, human resource, financial, relationship, economic, all types of problems. So you need to demonstrate you solve problems. You're not afraid of problems. In fact, smarter leaders are both good at defining the problem or understanding the problem, knowing what the problem statement is, and also solving them. So we need both. Then we have good leadership, 44%. Oral and written communication, right away, when they look at your resume, they can tell how good is your written communication. Do you have grammar issues? Do you have all these different punctuation not being consistent? So be very critical of your own resume. Make it appealing, easy to read. Do you have team building keywords? And then do you show good performance and productivity improvement by showing numbers? You're going to see examples with numbers. Numbers are our friends. Numbers don't lie. Numbers are powerful to tell people, how did you improve the performance, productivity, efficiency, effectiveness? So think always numbers. So later on, we're going to learn a lot about key strength that we want to communicate in the form of a source story, such as intelligent quotient, emotional quotient, and adversity quotient. These are the three minimum quotient that I would always tell my students to prepare for the interview. Because however they may ask you question, you can still use these three prepared answer to respond to them, because you're creative how to adapt this answer prepared to address to their question. So this is very big research saying what are the skills in demand in year 2020 and beyond. So we are now 2022, and you're not surprised to see the ones that we just saw in the resume in the hiring manager looking for keywords: problem solving, critical thinking, right? That you're good thought leader, not just spoon-fed and no formula and take good exam and get scores high. Those are not bad, those are good. But above and beyond that, we need to have critical thinking, define what the problem is, and be proactive in solving it. So we need intelligent quotient, adversity quotient for those. And be creative. And then people management, the interaction and collaboration are the other skills. So those are all emotional quotient. So now you know why we want at least one source story for each one of these three quotients. So typical employer needs good communication skills. So how are you going to show that? By way of your very clear, concise, and compelling resume, by way of showing how you did good presentation to your class or to your meetings or conferences. Teamwork, your example from co-op, how you have some difficult people, and yet you still build good teamwork and relationship with them and turn the situation around. Leadership, then you show, oh, I'm a class rep or a committee responsible for this, and how you deliver results, how you motivate and mobilize the team. Initiative, oh, I took initiative to do fundraising for this charity, for my youth group, for the Ukraine refugees and orphans. So give specific example. Remember numbers, and you see example later on. So if we need customer care, then you show them examples that how you work in a customer call center and how that has given you good experience solving customers' problems and the customer satisfaction, to show them how you have helped improve that. And then IT, then you show them evidence of design website. Yeah, these are examples of my IT tools that I've done. And then if they need commercial awareness, then you show them how you may even have a nonprofit, or you started some business pages and show them your good commercial acumen. And all these should be in your resume to speak their language, to resonate. So that HR manager can resonate and see, oh yeah, these are the examples and evidence that we need for this job. So these are some quick tips, the do's for winning resume. Make it legible. So don't make 8 font or 10 font. That would be too small. And you probably heard people want 1 page or 2 page, but you cannot cram 4-page content into 2 page because that's no one's going to read that, right? So 5 to 10 seconds, what would get their attention in their eyeball? I like Calibri fonts. I don't really like Times New Roman as much. So pick a font that you think is very friendly and it's not stressful to the eyes. The format. My middle name, one of my middle name is consistency. Make sure everything is very consistent and it's the same font, and be careful with those punctuation. Less is more. Sometimes I remove the periods and things. You can see in the slide, I don't have much punctuation, right? So you want to show less is more, and use bold to highlight some keywords or some dividers, and use simple bullet. You'll see example. And then contact information, how they can get in touch with you. Keep it relevant, customize to the position. You'll see examples shortly. And then look up templates. There are a lot of resources online. And then choose the one you like, and then adapt it and make it your own. That is a template that's very easy and pleasing to the eye. So what are the don'ts? And you see some good and some bad example later. In each section for every job, don't make it more than 5 bullets. Don't make it more than 5 bullets, because then it go on and on, people will lose interest. Because also, just looking at a resume, you want all the key information on the top half. Just like when you open a newspaper, you probably don't even go to the bottom fold, you probably only look at the top fold, right? So you want all the key information. So if you have one job that spent too much time and space, then your next job won't get the attention. So no more than 5 bullets, and watch out for the grammatical and spelling errors. If English is not your native language, ask friends to help you, or go through Google spell check, right? To make sure everything is consistent. Double, triple, and quadruple check. And don't use funny or controversial email, I am cute @gmail.com, right? Don't make it professional, straightforward, and avoid using the same word multiple times, like the organize in multiple different ways. So I'll show you many examples of good work that you can use, and be specific and align to the job description requirement to the degree that, yes, those are the functions that you perform. And then references are not really needed. You don't have to say, oh, reference available upon request. That's a filler words. Those are like, yeah, like those are things that we don't need because they don't mean anything. If they need a reference, they'll ask you. So you save 2 lines from putting that reference available upon request. So don't bother with that. So format matters, right? How it appears to the eye makes a big difference. So make sure whether you choose left adjusted or both side adjusted. Usually I do just left adjusted so that it's easy to read. We just talked about the grammar, and make sure you may even get professional help. So look at the format. So see, here's a good example on the left. Very brief, objective. You see the italic qualification, get their attention. And then the 4 lines, 4.5 lines on the key summary of the qualification. So this is going to include key phrases. And I know it's a little small, hard to see, but this all. And remember, resume is not for writing a book, not for writing full sentences. Don't worry about the I am and I have done. All these you don't need. So you see all these phrases start with the action word. And then you see few jobs, 3 bullets for each, and then your education. And of course, if you've been in the business for a long time, then you still have to prioritize. But this person, you see that they have the overall titles: marketing executive, business skill, what they are, Then the professional experience actually quite short because all the top have already summarized them. And then specific job, just make it very job specific and try to include some numbers. And then your education. And then the one on the right is not as attractive, still has some good attribute that they truly put in the key phrases and experience. And then some of the older job, they didn't bother putting more because it's much older, so you don't have to. So these are examples. The format matters. So this, I won't go into the detail, another way of showing. Most of the time, our resume is just black and white color. We don't necessarily put additional color. Now, most of them are electronic. You may take advantage of that. And then you see very simple, no more than 5 bullets for each section. And then for each line should be 1 or 2 lines, no more than 2 lines. So in this case, because this person has this information on the right, so their line actually is shorter, right? Narrow in the margin. So they end up having 3 lines. So we recommend no more than 2 lines in your resume. So here are some accomplishment examples, right? So it's not complete sentences, action word, right? You see percentage, you see numbers. So this is really good example. Exceeded sales quota consistently by an average of 5% for the 3 years through effective use of rebates for volume purchases. Wow. Very short 2 lines, very punchy, give you exactly all the right words. Achieved customer satisfaction of 98% by minimizing downtime to 0.03% during a 2-month systems conversion. Wow. So this gives you a very good answer to why, who, what, when, where, and how. So think about those 5 W and 1 H. How can you pack it in? Now, of course, it has to make sense, right? So this is a good example. So the next few slides are just quick view of 3 types of resume. And you already saw some earlier. So this one is very traditional, chronological, just straightforward, some brief summary experience, and then just reverse chronological from now all the way to the past. So that's very standard, typical. Now, more popular is the number 2, which is the combination. And you saw example earlier. Focus a lot more on your profile, key phrases and key experience, skills, tools, and then less on the chronological specific job. So depending on your experience and your, depending on the industry and so forth, so you can decide. You saw some very good example earlier. So this one, it's a combination. So earlier is the experience summary, and now it's the chronological explanation. And you see a lot of numbers, $, percentage, number of people. So always ask yourself, whether it's an interview or resume, what are some numbers that can represent my impact, my result, my performance, right? Same for performance review. When you write your appraisal, when you write your accomplishment for the year, always think the same way. The way you write your resume, the way you prepare for interview, all these skills apply. And then usually we end with education at the end. And then a third type of resume is targeted. So this is very specific to the job that you're applying. Then you would be very specific. And of course, again, need to be accurate and honest. Use the key words. In this case, a human resource manager. What is the job description keyword? Example, recruit, orient, administer. So these are keywords that you see in the job description. Then you can put some of those in your resume targeted to that job. Again, has to be honest and truthful on what you've done, using the same keywords and connecting to your own experience. Also so this is the job description, right? You see these key phrases. Now, in your resume, you can put summary of your professional qualification. You see those keywords and you would put them into your resume to the degree that you have actually done that. And then in your resume itself, in the same way, you would put these keywords, and you see all those in blue are attention catching. I don't mean for you to highlight them in blue in your resume, but you can bold some of them. I want to highlight for you so you can see it's not complete sentence, it's phrasing, keywords that get their attention, and you see numbers. How many staff, what annual revenue of increase by 38%. And then if you have any short form acronym acrostic, avoid them. So you see this JCAT whole, you need to spell those out. Even though it may be well known in the industry, you try, even though it takes space, you try to spell those out so people won't have to say, oh, what does that mean? Because they'll feel like, oh, you don't know what that means, so it seems very, you don't want to put people down. So for example, like this AAMFT, so they spell it out and then you put a parenthesis. So this is another example, right? Remember the 5W. You see some time duration. You see why, what, where, when, who, and then the how. So these are great examples to put into the targeted resume. So look for the keywords. In this case, it's a clinical director. And then in this case, the responsible for, I would not use it that many times and it developed. I would suggest implemented, delivered. So these are things to avoid, right? So you can look at this and as a good reference. So now you have the resume and you may get an interview. So how do you prepare for your interview to begin with? You want to do research and know the company well. How do you do research? So if you're applying for college, same way, you go onto the college website, the company website, to look up these profiles through these good tools like Dun & Bradstreet, Glassdoor, Hoover's. And if you even know the professor or particular interviewer, you can go into the LinkedIn profile to get to know them, not to make them feel like you're stalking them. And then press release, because companies work hard on press release. So what's being announced is important to them. Then you can comment about their press release and congratulate them on some exciting product or service launch. So you want to pay attention to what they announce, whether it's the university or the companies that you're applying to. And then for the interviewers, take note to get to know their professional, their past background, and read the job description very carefully and how these keywords, the qualification match with yours so that you will feel very natural and comfortable to talk about them. And then prepare questions. We're going to give you example, what question to ask. Be sure not to just ask what's in it for me. How long would it take for me to get promoted? What's my pay? How many people do I lead? So you don't want to just ask about me, myself, and I questions. You want to think about questions about the responsibility related. What would be success? And how you have examples to contribute to the success of this job. And then learn about bigger picture, right? What are the industry trends? What are some challenges? And how can you add value? And again, you can look up these websites to help you. And then dress properly, of course, and be professional, whether in Zoom or in person. So their interview preparation could be for phone interview. And even though they may not see you, even though it may be audio, I suggest you still walk or stand up. Be sure not to sit down, because sitting down, you don't get to breathe easily. You don't feel as energized. So you want to stand up so that you can, even though they may not see your hand motion, you still can have some animated that gives you a way to convey your energy and your enthusiasm. So these are examples of questions. So we're going to go through these in a bit with many examples of how you answer them. So these are questions you want to be ready to answer. Why are you interested in this job? What do you want? What applicable attribute do you have to apply for this job? Are you overqualified for this job? And so these are examples of questions they could ask you. And then there's behavior questions. I have a long list of examples of behavior questions in a different situation. How did you handle it? Tell me a time when, dot, 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 dot. All these are good examples of behavior questions. And you can easily search these online and they even give you sample example, but you need to make them your own. And I'll give you many examples. Some are also on our website. You can go watch the video, how the students answer to many of these situational questions. So there are more of these typical questions that I'm not going to go into. Feel free to take screenshot. And in general, they also want you to know, they want to know how well you are familiar with this job or with this university, right? So I always ask students who apply to Cornell and Princeton, why are you interested? Well, first I want to thank them for applying to Cornell or Princeton. Why are you interested? What got you most excited when you're thinking about attending to the school? So you need to be ready, not just say, oh, because it's Ivy League school, oh, because it's famous. You want to be very specific to answer, such as a particular field that this school is really good at. And that's the field that you're passionate about because you have done research and have done co-op or intern experience and show them a quick success story. So you want to be very specific, answering why this company, why this position, and why would you enjoy working for this company? So we'll now go into, during the interview, what are the different types and how do you get yourself ready? And what's the hiring manager most interested in? What's their goal? And what are you as an interviewee most interested in? And then we'll go very deep later on how to ace your interview with many good examples. So what is the goal? Why would they spend time with you? So the employer, of course, want to hire the right candidate. In fact, the best candidate, the best person for the job. So they want to answer these questions. Can this candidate do the job? Do they have the skill, ability, and qualifications, right? Such as your intelligence quotient and adversity quotient, not afraid of making mistakes or failures. And will you be interested to do this job? Do you have that right attitude and motivation? And then how will you fit into this organization? How would this candidate's personality, their emotional quotient and teamwork, how do they fit into this team's culture? So that's what the boss is looking to answer, these three questions. And then for you as a job seeker or interviewee to a college application or job application process, you want to impress upon the interviewer on your own strength and your sincerity and your character and your very clear, concise, and compelling stories of examples, experience that demonstrate the job qualifications that they need. So for you, of course, you also want to find out, what does this job offer to me? And then how can I contribute? And how does it fit into my career plan, in my overall lifelong journey? So in our August course, we'll go deeper into these, right? How do you plan your career and how would each step, each job you take fit with your career plan or not? So in short, we want to demonstrate these A's and the C's, your aptitude, your hard skill, your ability, your attitude. They can tell easily, first few seconds, first impression, already get an idea. Do you have a good attitude? Do you have the affability that people feel comfortable and friendly, easy going to talk to you? Do you look as you make yourself available, that you're interested and you want to make your best effort? And can we afford hiring you, right? Can you accept this salary level or this benefit? And then do you have the credibility to demonstrate all that you talked about and that your resume speaks on? And then are we compatible? So these are things the interviewer and the interviewee would consider. So these are some types of interviews that you could have informational interview. And I've done a lot of this during my 33 years of career. Not applying for a job, but I have 30 or so mentors and sponsors and coaches in my workplace for my 33 years of career. So I have many informational interviews by way of building mentoring relationship. Whether I am the mentee or sometimes I am the mentor to mentor people. So informational interview, we're going to go deeper in our August course to prepare yourself, your journey map. How do you build the networks? Who do you talk to? What type of network? So we'll go into that in our last class in August. And then there's some screening interview or serial sequential interview. Some are stress interview to see if you are able to take charge. They kind of make the situation very stressful. Some are performance interview like coding, questions and hard skill. And then your particular research presentation, and they would ask you. So that are very specific on performance. Testing computer skill. Mealtime interview is a little bit more relaxed, more social life, or some so-called happy hour. So you're more relaxed, informal conversation. So we need to be ready to prepare for that. And then oftentimes we'll be out of town. We fly in. We call them planned visit, right? Go to the actual location. So these are the many different types. And then when you're at the interview, there's still the different types. It could be rotating through a day schedule. This 30 minutes, this hour, you rotate, having one-on-one with different interviewer. Or sometimes it's a group that a few candidates at the same time. That's pretty intense. And then the interviewer want to see how you interact with each other. Whether if you're self-aware of how you're speaking, responding, reacting, or others aware, are you listening to each other? Are you respectful? And be alert. And then above and beyond the self-aware and others aware, I suggest that we'll be God-aware. Are we praying through this interview? Of course, with good attention to the interviewer, and yet seeing God telling you, giving you the right words and the right wisdom to respond or to ask the right question. And then sometimes panel, one interviewer, one interviewee and multiple interviewers, very intense, will be over 10, usually 2 to 5. And then they'll be asking you questions from different organization, different role perspective. And sometimes involve your presentation, and then they will ask you the question. When you do all that, be sure to have the right eye contact toward the person that you're talking to, since there's so many of them, right? So be very wise how to manage your body language. And then these days, during COVID, we do a lot of Zoom and phone interview. I suggest, like I said, as if you're there in person, as if you're visible, even though it's on the phone. So try to make it as if it's real. And of course, be relaxed, be real, be yourself. Find a place that's quiet. So there's no dog barking, no family talking to you. And ready with your resume, ready with the key phrases, ready with your source stories, which we're going to go into quickly. And be sure not to read from your resume, not to read from your slide, even if you prepare something. Don't read, make it natural. You may prepare some key phrases so that it jogs your memory. Be sure not to sound like you're reading, because that will be boring. And then have paper and pen ready. If you're the resume, you should have sent out in advance, and be ready to ask some good questions, which will give you some example, and do a lot of practice. Practice makes perfect. I help my students do mock interview. They really have grown leaps and bounds. And then do your own practice by recording in your own Zoom or in your own phone, and practice standing like I am. All my talks I give by standing. So that way it's easier to stretch and to breathe, and more energy, and it's more animated. And then use your hand motion, your facial expression, and I'll tell you why these are important next. And enjoy the time. Be yourself, right? Be real. Make sure that you don't sound boring and monotonous. So as you get started with the interview, you may have a pre-interview and then some greeting and introduction and do some small talk and just be so serious that, oh, if it's a Monday, say, oh, how was your weekend? Wow, we have some good weather. So just some chit chat, be ready to make it relaxed. Then we're going to get into some information exchange, some questions and answer, and they may share about the employer, and then you can ask some questions. And then at the end, you have some closing and hope to get a business card or get the information so that you can do a very good follow-up and a thank you note and check in later on. So here are some examples of pre-interview and greeting. Be sure you arrive early, 10 to 15 minutes, even in Zoom, be ready, right? I know some of you joined the Zoom early. I applaud you, right? People can tell, hey, you're proactive, you're responsible. Little action makes a big difference, that you arrive before the Zoom owner, you arrive before the interviewer. And then your greeting, be ready to practice the first couple of sentences. Like I said earlier, oh, how was your weekend? Oh, thank you for the opportunity. I'm looking forward to our time together. So just key phrases. It's a pleasure meeting you. And how you, if you're meeting in person, how you greet your, with the handshake, that's with confidence. And your facial expression really goes a long way with a pleasant smile. And then be polite. If they are not ready for you to sit down, you kind of watch, be self-aware and others aware, and really be grateful for the opportunity that they schedule a time to meet. And then during the information exchange, sometimes they may be very direct. Then you'll be appropriate to respond. Sometimes could be open-ended, like all those situational questions. Tell me about a time when. In any of these, right, be ready to show your examples. So how did you describe a situation when? Give me an example. So all these, you can come prepared. So we'll go through the source story, how those can be used in answering many types of questions. And a lot of times also why question, right? So they want to understand your motivation, to get to know your preferences. At the end, you close and you thank them and take 2 minutes to restate and summarize your interest and your strength. So we have a source story framework to help you with that. And then ask what the follow-up next step would be. Or you can offer and say, I would follow up in a couple of weeks, or ask them, so that we set up the same expectation. And then at the end, after the interview, what do? You get ready to thank them and do some appropriate follow-up and send some feedback. For example, if there's some question they asked you, that you have more follow-up answer to support it. Or sometimes certain question they ask you, say, oh, I would want to go back and check, and I'll send it to you afterwards. So all these are important to follow up. And then your follow-up need to be within 48 hours. Whether it's an interview, whether it's a mentor meeting with you, you want to follow up within 48 hours. You hit the iron while it's hot. And remember some key conversation, right? You would have taken notes on some key points, because right after the interview, do a quick reflection, summarize the key points. So all my students and mentee, when they do one-on-one with me, they do the same thing. Before the one-on-one, they prepare and send agenda. During one-on-one, how do they use that time, whether it's 30 minutes, 45 minutes. And then after the one-on-one, they summarize what are the key takeaways, what are my action plans within 48 hours. So that way people know that you are serious, you are committed, you are responsible, right? Those are all brownie points. Those are all good impression points, so that people know, oh, I can trust them and they are interested and they are serious. So think about key points that you discussed and then include some of those in your follow-up email. Now, don't write a very long email. Based on the discussion, be self-aware, others aware, and God aware. What do they care about the most? Prioritize those and rephrase them and summarize how this is. Understand these are important to you, and I am glad to say that I have these experience and skill in giving them quick key summary, not to write a whole big long essay. And then reflect and process your experience. Think about, what did I do well on the interview? How can I improve? And how can you change and do better next time? And think about the interaction. Again, the self-aware, others aware, and God aware. And then what are my next steps? And then be ready to do your second and final round interview. And then sometimes you may get a rejection letter or email, then you may ask for feedback too, right? I would like to, and be in a polite way. I understand that I was not chosen. I understand there are many good candidates. I'd like to get your suggestion how I can improve. And usually people are willing to tell you that. So this is an example, a template of an email or letter to thank them. To be honest, I know we usually use email or even text these days. If people receive a snail mail thank you card in addition to your email, wow, it goes a long way. They can actually visually see a card, a letter, something short and sweet, clear and concise. Even a handwritten one is hopefully better handwriting than mine, because my handwriting is really bad. So, or at least you type it and then you sign it with your personal signature. So how you can write and thank them that I have enjoyed speaking to you today about this position at this company. This job seems to be an excellent match for my skills and my interest. The creative approach to account management that you described, so you give them credit and you recognize their strength, right? How they are really good in managing, describing this role, really confirm my desire to work with you. In addition to my enthusiasm, I will bring to the position strong writing skill, assertiveness, and the ability to encourage others to work cooperatively with the department. So from here, you already can see the IQ, the EQ, and the AQ involved. So just short and sweet, and all your information at the bottom. So congratulations, you may get a job offer, then you accept the job offer, there may be some discussion about salary and benefits, and we don't have time to cover those today. And that you may get a package. Usually a big package is good news. Small thin letter is not so good news. And then you may accept by giving a written response. And then when you accept and there's, prepare for the first day and give God all the glory that He would offer this job for you, if this is what you choose. So in our course, we'll go through seeking God in 5 steps. Is this the right job for me? And then it will make it clear. And again, God has never disappointed me, and He always made it very clear which job, when, where, who, why, and how. So Proverbs 3, we all know this verse very well, that we learn to trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways, acknowledge Him, and He will make your path straight. Guaranteed, God is there with us every step of the way. He wants the best for us. Sometimes God's best may not align with our best, and yet there's a reason for everything that happens. So Jeremiah 29 also tells us that, for I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you, not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future. Then you will call on me and pray to me, and I will listen to you. You will seek me and find me when you seek me with all your heart. So it's such a blessing and a privilege that we can always ask, seek, and knock, and God will answer in a very clear way. So now we're going to go into how to ace your interview. And because of our time, I'm going to be going really quickly. And then we'll wrap up very quickly on the performance review. So the A's, A is to ask good questions. We have 6 A we're going to go into. And all these hope to help you to personalize and prepare and practice, right? Practice makes perfect. Make this your own. Don't recite things that you see from here or what you find online. Make it your own. So let's start with the 6A. So the 6A are ask good questions. We're going to give you some example by studying the things that we talked about, right? Your website, the press release, and so forth. Their past, their present, and their future. Appealing appearance, right? Your first impression lasts forever. So look professional. We'll give you some more tips on eye contact, how to do your nods and handshake. Be assertive, that you not only care about my own needs, but you also care about their needs, so that you have a good confidence. And then authentic, right? Be real, relax, be yourself, be engaging. And then the ABC communication skill is the active listening, body language, and your character traits. I'll give you some example. So what would create a bad impression? If you're not tidy, you don't have good eye contact, you're always looking somewhere else and didn't look at the person, or negative attitude, not showing interest or enthusiasm, lacking preparation, being late, very verbose, using too many words or many filler words, not even familiar with the job description. So all those, or no career plan. So our course can help you be sure to prepare for that. So these are the do's and the don'ts. So we already talked about do's are the positive, right? Your confidence, your enthusiasm, professionalism, your knowledge, your communication skill. And the don'ts are all the negative ones, right? Don't be fidgeting. I know you could be nervous, and yet relax and pray, and God will give you the confidence. And I already said, avoid an acronym. And of course, don't turn on your phone and be truthful and so forth. And then practice so that you don't have these ums and filler words. So these you can easily find online. Make yourself relax, the firm handshake. So I'm not going to go through these again. And then the ABC. So for those who have taken my communication course, I have actually A, B, C, D, E. I only focus on the ABC today. That you want to listen actively with your eye contact and ask and rephrase. Make sure that you understood what they said, right? So God gave us 2 ears for a reason. So it's not just keep talking like I always do, right? So I learned to listen at least twice as much as we speak. Like in James 1:19 says, to be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to anger. And then we're going to show you what's the B, the different body language, so important. And then C is how you praise people with specific character words. So when you look at the communication, we see the body language is 55%. So let's look into that. So if you go onto our website, calltowork.org, you can go into more workshops that's on the detail of ABCD communication. And this is the website, calltowork.org, and go to the encourage resource, and also go out to our YouTube. You'll see many examples. And these are my contact information if you want to contact me. So when you communicate, 55%, which is your visual, your body language, your facial expression, represent the impact on your first impression. Wow. So you need to practice your body language. And then your tone of voice, the second B, is 38%. That's your pitch. You pick up pause and how you project your volume. Are you fast, slow, loud, or soft? Right? So it's not monotone, same pitch all the time. So it varies. 38%. And then finally, we work so hard on the verbal, the right words. That's only 7%. But we still need to work hard on it. That's the Moravian rule of communication. So here's some example body language, right? You see my hands, and we want to stand straight. You see the facial expression, looking right into the camera. And we have a talk on the Zoom do's and don'ts in our YouTube. You can look, see how your eye need to match with the camera so that the camera is not below your chin, is not above, but it's at the right level. And that your body needs to be 2/3 of this screen, right? So that it's not half of just your head, or it's not cutting your head on the top. So need to make sure it's very appealing. So you can easily tell those on the left are the good sitting up, good eye contact, good gesture, and don't just slouch. Or I've seen people, even public speaking presenters, putting their hand this way, or keep touching their hair. So avoid those, right? Those are not good body language. So literally do a smile. So just acrostic, whether you sit or stand with an open posture. So don't do this, right? So that shows that you're not interested or you're not friendly. M is to mirror what they say or their action, but don't make it so obvious as if you're a robot, just so that you're respectful of what they said and how they do. And impress upon them with good gesture, and then lean forward a little means you're interested, you're curious, and you're asking. And then the eye contact is very important. So these are examples of Zoom body language. Now that's A, and now here's the C. The C, we're going to go quickly. The 6C, we want to be very clear, right? Don't be verbose and speak for a long time, like I'm doing as a lecturer in your interview. Make it clear, concise. Less is more. Don't repeat the same word. Think through your words. Use specific word that speaks to the job, like we did the review and preparation for resume. Clear, concise, and compelling. What you said really would be appealing and get their interest. Be confident, right? Assertive. Once you have any filler words, yeah, you're already not showing your confidence. Be curious. Oh, tell me more. That is fascinating, right? So, I'm fascinated by what you're sharing with me. So be fascinated about what they said, not just to make yourself fascinating, but be fascinated and be curious and ask them. And then, of course, courteous, right? In the way you dress, the way you speak, and so forth. And we just talked about those A, B, C, and the 3V. And finally, the E, how you ace your resume, ace your interview, is to express your value add. Use these 6 S to express your strength, your contribution, your impact, your result, your success, your skill set, your experience, and what type of person or personal brand are you. Your self-awareness by showing your humility, honesty on what your weakness is. And there's a way for us to say that, and we'll go through a lot more in detail in our course. And then SWOT, that's another tool that we're going to use in our course. This tool is going to last for a lifelong journey, because you need this tool for college application, job interviews, for your performance review, a very powerful tool. So SOAR story. People don't like lecture like I'm giving to you. People like storytelling. So I have the SOAR story to help you tell a story that's 1 or 2 minutes on a very powerful strength, on a situation, obstacle, action, and result. But you don't need to use these words. You just tell a story that would tell them about your strength, whether it's IQ, EQ, or AQ, on the what, why, how, and how much. And these 8 Qs are the full scope art of AQ leadership that we actually learn in a course in the future. But I want to focus on EQ, AQ, and IQ that will help you describe your story. So this is the course in Chinese later this year in October that will go deeper in 8 weeks on a Tuesday evening, America time. So we will go into the detail in this course. So your source story need to match with the job description. So we're going to make it very short, 2 minutes, right? So I'll give you an example. These are examples for my students. And in the beginning, they put too much detail. So you can see that an example on intelligent quotient. I'm a lifetime learner. I like to gain new skill, put into practice, and apply into problem solving. One time, our project was asked to share a success story of our project in a self-recorded video. We were only given 1 week notice and people were about to take holiday break. So I took the executive presence certification from this company last year, and I prepared a self-recorded testimonial about our project success. And I provide coaching with simple instruction and helpful tips to help my team so they can all record some 30-second testimonies. As a result, we actually finished this success story 1 day ahead of schedule. 90% of the team participated and with 100% satisfaction. And now we recognize as a high-performing team. We exceeded our expectation and we received 50 social media likes within 3 days. So that's less than 2 minutes. That's a quick IQ story. So every student, and we'll do this in our course, will run through. And here's another example. So typically the student may spend 30 minutes or an hour telling me all the detail, but you don't need all the detail. You need to bubble up, bring up a level. What matters to the audience? So here's a quick example. I am good at executing complex projects with excellence, with good team collaboration on time and on budget. One time, I took over a complex auditing project without proper handoff from the last owner. I was challenged to complete this transition in 14 business days instead of the usual 2 months. So I put together a cross-functional team, established our clear team goal, and we worked diligently with a focused effort. As a result, we finished the transition in 10 business days, 4 days ahead of the aggressive schedule. So that's an example of SOAR story, and we'll go through more in our August course. So I'm not going to go through the other example. So this is another one for adversity quotient, what another student did. And then weakness, right? Oftentimes in the interview, I say, tell me about yourself, tell me about your strength, tell me about your weakness. So that's all the time the case. So don't just twist a strength into a weakness. So be honest. And of course, use the SOAR approach so that you can tell them, try to do a weakness that may not be related to the job and that is not a weakness that they already know. And then don't lie at all. Don't just make it up. And then tell about a weakness that you can improve on. You have an action plan and actually that you're growing in. So here's an example. I tend to volunteer. So here's how you always start with a statement about the weakness and then your SOAR story. I'm a big fan of self-reflection and continuous improvement. I learn and grow from overcoming my weakness. I tend to volunteer for additional work a bit too much. Then I would be distracted from my current priorities. So I'm working to improve on this. While keeping a good team spirit, I learned to be cautious, to first evaluate my current workload, then prioritize and select what I can volunteer without jeopardizing my own priorities. Then, as a result, I can care about both of my priority and also help ensure work quality and while supporting others in an appropriate way. So that's an example. So we have many examples. I'm not going to go through them. We'll go through some of these in our course. And then behavioral question, tell me a time. And I'll show you many of these situations with examples. So I'm not going to go through them. And they are actually on our website. Here in the Call to Work.org website, in the Equip tab, many of these situations is actually in lesson 5 and lesson 6, and I'll show you in the website later. So here's what happened when the student finished our course, how they have really learned all the tools and prepare, and these are examples. This is their testimony that they use the 5P, the 3C tool, and they did a strength finder and how they did the mock interview with me. And then they feel much less nervous, much more well-prepared emotionally and spiritually. And then they're now more confident. So this is the website under the Equip tab. So lesson 5 and 6 is where there are 15 or 20 situations with the answer. So you can slowly watch those and see the answer. And this is our website. So at the end of the ACE is the other 6 on a different skill. I think I'm gonna, okay, let me cover this one and then I'll end. And sorry, not able to cover the performance review today. And we'll cover that in our course. Really exciting how to excel at your work. So tell me about yourself. Everyone asks this question. So you want to answer in a way that is short and sweet, right? Don't tell them all about your life journey from the time you were born, where you grew up and all that. So be very purposeful in what you're going to ask, how you're going to tell them about yourself, right? So the first impression is very powerful. So this one, you should get prepared and share information that align to the job. So you want to talk briefly about the past, present, and your plan for the future, where you can share briefly on the background of the past that's relevant to the job and discuss where you are, what you're working on now, again, demonstrating your strength, and about your goal for the future. So here's some example of how you want to tell me about yourself. Be sure to focus in only 2 minutes, and it's professional. So don't have to talk about your family and personal too much unless they ask you later on. I started my career in marketing after graduating with a business degree in 2013. I've spent my entire career at Microsoft, receiving 2 promotions and 3 awards for outstanding performance. I'm looking to join a smaller company now and take on more leadership and project management role. Wow, that's less than a minute, short and sweet, past, present, and plan for the future. And you see numbers, you see their performance. So let me just pause, Angela. And I know there are many good questions, and I'll cover the rest of this in our course during August, and hope to see you there. Okay, go ahead, Angela. Can you?
Okay, we will have that our coworker Naomi to share the Slido question, and at the same time, you can also look at the Slido. There are some question, and then because with the time we may not be able to finish all the question, so you can go to the one that you hope that teacher Elaine can answer and put the like there. Then the order will be earlier, so then the question you hope teacher Elaine can answer will be the first one to share and to answer that. Naomi, to share the Slido question.
And if you have questions, you can also type into the chat.
Yeah, so far we have 12 questions, and then so let's see the first question. How can I effectively identify a career path God has called me to?
Very good question. That's exactly what the course is about. And we'll learn the 5 steps of seeking God's will. And we have tools to help you understand your purpose, principle, passion, to get to know your different strengths and personality type, and then your people and your performance. And it's an exciting discovery journey. And God will make it very clear what you're good at, that you're passionate at, and what the society needs. Hopefully that collapse and coincide, and that will give you the meaning of what you do.
Okay, thank you. Let's go to the second question. I think some of them is hard to use 1 or 2 minutes to answer it, but I will still let teacher Elaine to share some of her answer. The second question, how to work with the demanding boss?
Yes. So if you go to our YouTube, you see one of the talk, also in English, about 11 types of bosses, including a demanding boss. So actually, I'll show you a little bit more resources here as I answer the question. So you can go find them. Is how you could meet them where they are, understand their needs, understand where they're coming from. And each boss type has their uniqueness. And when you find that talk on the YouTube, you'll see. So let me just share some resources, Angela.
Okay.
Yeah. Are you seeing my, well, okay. Are you seeing it now? Are you seeing?
We
Okay,
see
yeah, it's
the
showing. Yeah.
PowerPoint. Yeah.
Good. Okay. So want to make sure when we go to work, we know that we can take Jesus to work, that we can pray. So we have prayer resource. So this is the website where we also have devotions available. Also Theology of Work website has all the collection of devotion in Chinese, and this is our website in the main page. This is where some of the talks are. And in the YouTube, I'll show you the YouTube example of leading up for the different boss type. So you can go find right here. So this is organized by reverse, like the most recent to the longest time. So you can go, there's a mix of Chinese and English. So you can go to this YouTube, you can scan the QR code, and there's one talk about leading up. So all the different boss. And then these resources on interviews, communication, finding meaning of work are the 3 grayed out. You can look at these QR code and the website. Most of them are free. You can, some are Chinese, some in English, how to communicate at work. And so the Shine Your Talk is English. So the broadcast will start at the end of this year. Every week we'll have a short video. They're about 15 minutes. So these are all helpful for your communication. So this is a course that we are going to do in August. Same time, different channel, because we'll be a different Zoom. And for all ages in English to learn about the 5 W of work and how, and the no, the 5 no. So that's answering the question, how do I know what career path? So when we go through these 4 weeks, you'll get tools to help you understand yourself, know others, and known by others, and how to, we'll talk a lot more about performance review and some of the remaining interview content. And then it's not like today, I talk for 70 minutes, that's so boring. So in the actual class for a whole hour and a half, we'll have some 10-minute opening games and some sharing. And then I will teach only 45 minutes and hope to make it engaging and fun. And then you have 20-minute small group discussion will be arranged by age. If you're a teenager, guys will be probably same group, and the girls will be teenagers, same group. And then adults will be all based on your location, try to be similar time zone. And then we have Q&A at the end. So let me go back to your Slido, Naomi, sorry about that. So the next question.
Okay, the next question. How do I say no appropriately when I already have 7 things on my plate?
Yes. So if you go to that website I showed you earlier, exactly this question. So you would start saying, boss, thank you for trusting me with more responsibility. I'm happy to learn and contribute. Right now, you gave me 7 things that we already discussed in our last one-on-one. I want to make sure that we prioritize, and then these 3 new things that you're giving me to see how they align in the priority and allocation of time. So you want to start with positive, trust, thank you, and recognizing the boss trusting you. And then how, so we typically call this a sandwich technique, right? Start with the bread that's affirming the person. You have to be sincere and truthful. And then the meat is your opinion, which may be different from theirs. And make sure you don't say, but. You didn't hear me say, but. You say, and. And then at the end, the bread is this way, boss, that I'll be sure to be most effective to deliver on result that matters to you and the group most, aligned to the right priority. So you wrap up with the bottom bread to tell them the benefit and the reason for us to figure out how to prioritize. Instead of just saying, oh, boss, I already have 7 things, I cannot fit more. So you need to be positive and professional. Okay, next.
Okay, next question. How can I help believer? I think it's the pastor or somebody, the deacon, ask about this question. How to help believer to appreciate the importance of developing technical and soft skill in their work, including serving at church?
Yeah, first I want to thank this church leader and congratulate him or her for loving the church member. That is so wise. Rarely do I see a church leader thinking about the congregation's need to grow the soft skill. So I would imagine that you have a personal conversation as you get to know them and listen to them, active listening on what their struggles are. And that you could offer and say, oh, this could help you with the better soft skill, how to have better communication or listening. How can you build the various quotient that we just talked about? So meet them where they are, have lunch with them, listen to the challenges, and of course, affirm them as well and do the active listening or the sandwich technique that we just talked about. And say, understand that they could be really busy. And yet we don't just want to work hard. We also want to work smart, which include the people. And you can quote the statistics, right? The research I show you. Of the 12 qualities a boss needs, 10 of them are soft skill. Okay, next.
Okay, next question. How to avoid overdoing at work?
Overload or workaholic. Yeah, so again, this is another one of those 15 questions in the workplace communication, the Chinese, that one I showed you earlier. So how do you handle that? Again, you want to consider the sandwich technique and also set boundary. And you need to meet the boss where they are. If there's too much workload, understand they also have a lot of stress from their leadership. So I don't know if this question is you being a workaholic, that you spend too much time on your own to do the work, or you're being asked by your boss to do too much work. So we cover both sides. So that you need to set boundary for yourself so that you know when you are at work, you're going to be the best you can be at work. When you're not at work, the time that you're with your family, you need to be your best you can be with your family so that you can set boundary and have a healthy, balanced. For those of you who took my 7F course a few months ago, we know how important a healthy 7F abundant life is like. So it's not a workaholic and overworked life. Okay, next.
Okay, next question. Any suggestion? Okay, different one. How to conquer the impatient to follow the useless process in a company?
Yeah, how do we conquer that? So again, start with positive, right? So you did your homework. I've experienced it. There's some process that are bureaucracy, useless, or too much paper, too much unnecessary checkpoints, right? So you do your homework, and in the Shine Your Talk content, it goes through in very detail, some questions to ask and how do you do your homework to gather data and facts. So be sure to separate the issue, the process, from the people. So we need to always respect the people, whoever in charge of this process. Don't attack the people, but you want to be factual with the process and say, I understand this process is intended to do this. And yet I get this data, I see people ended up spending more time with the process and not producing the result. And I suggest we do this and that. So you need to do your homework to first manage your EQ. Don't lose your cool, don't lose your patience, and pray, ask for wisdom, address the process, address the problem, not to attack the person, the people. Next. And of course, with the sandwich technique, then you'll say this way, when we can improve the process, we expect some improvement in our efficiency and effectiveness. So you kind of think through this sandwich, the bread, the meat, and the bread. Sometimes it needs multiple layers of bread, and then some meat in the middle. Okay, next.
Okay, next one. Any suggestion about the compensation question asked by the recruiter or in the early stage of the interview?
Yes, I have a slide on that, which we didn't get to cover. The compensation question. So you, again, should have done homework, knowing your own market value based on your years of experience, your qualifications, and the job type, and based on the geography. So you did all your homework, and you would start with that and say, explaining the facts, right? Not just like, oh, I want this or I want that. So you basically articulate and say, based on my experience and the match with this job and the geography and my current pay, I believe the compensation range, you don't want to put a specific number. You want to put a range, would be this much. And then we can explore how to be sure that this job is at a competitive pay. Okay, next.
Okay, next question. What quality are top college looking for in students?
Yeah, that's a whole separate talk. Again, I think it should be in a YouTube. I've done quite a few, both in English and in Chinese on college application. Top college, look for students who, I have a whole acrostic for that, superb, that they are servant leadership, they're very unique, they stand out, and that they are persistent in a field, sports, in their interest, that they have years of demonstrating their persistency and perseverance, and that they're willing to learn and demonstrate leadership, not just care about themselves, but they care about other people. Now, your grades, it's a given, right? Good high SAT score, ACT, SAT2 score, or achievements test, or your GPA minimum. And of course, good recommendation. But most of all, that you have unique differentiation that stand out above and beyond others in a particular field, area that you have long time commitment to and demonstrate with your example and experience. And of course, do all the ones that we just talked about, that you research on the school, you ask good questions during interview, and you prepare your application with good essay and recommendation to demonstrate your superb qualities. Okay, next.
Okay, next. How to deal with unethical behavior of student and college or colleagues?
Yeah. So this happened. So this again has a lot to do with our leadership. How do you demonstrate your leadership when people do not align with your value, your approach? Because we can't expect everyone to be like us. So we need to pray for them, pray for ourselves, and then pray for, and of course, in your own words and action, I hope you demonstrate in your action that actions are louder than words, that you demonstrate how to be ethical. And then whether it's with your boss to explore this, if it's against the company policy or truly unethical, you need to involve your boss and perhaps even HR in an appropriate way. And I would follow Matthew, as Jesus told the disciples, start with the one-on-one, hopefully you have good relationship with them, privately sharing with them, and then maybe the one person or maybe a couple of people talking to them, or you may have to go to the boss or the HR manager. Okay.
Okay, teacher Elaine, right now is 5:34. So do you want to continue to answer the rest of question? Probably we still have another four.
Yeah, I could finish
Okay, sure.
answering
Then
them.
we
And I know some
continue.
people may need to leave. I don't know if
Yeah.
there's any question related to the course that we need to answer, or, and now, yeah, go ahead.
Okay, next one, how to handle conflict in interest in working environment. For example, I work on a project, but other team senior leader told me they should do it rather than me.
Okay. Yeah, so conflict resolution is a very big topic, and it will be in our October through December course when we learn about the art of AQ leadership in Chinese. So conflict of interest, right? Of course, human nature, sad to tell you, I'm sure you know that, is simple. We only think about me, myself, and I. People tend to think about their own interests. So we, on the other hand, as Christian, we could demonstrate servant leadership. And that's very powerful, very appealing. So when you do that, doesn't mean that you're going to be stepped on and be taken advantage of. Because I learned that in my 33 years. I wasn't stepped on. How I demonstrate assertive and wise and professional way to address the different conflict of interest. So I would do my homework, pray about it. That's typical starting point. Talk to your own boss to get support and your leadership to get air cover. And then do the homework to talk through it and understand and listen, practice active listening, and also see where they're coming from. And agree with some of their points and highlight where you may not agree. Use the sandwich technique. Ultimately, it should be the right solution for the right team. And that's best for the company, right? So kind of walk through that. And hopefully, if you're right, you should do it. You can lay out the reasons for it, whether it's your job responsibility that align to your group or whether you have the right skills. So kind of prepare through your own homework, align with your leadership, and listen and use the sandwich technique as an example. Next.
Okay, next question. How to make people understand to follow guidelines rather than do their own way?
Yeah, so we cannot make people do that. So again, servant leadership. Our October course will go through a lot more in detail. How could you build servant leadership? By influencing others, by building relationship, trusted relationship. So you need to have good enough relationship and also clear communication, explaining why is this guideline important? Why is it beneficial to them? Again, think through the sandwich technique, for example, and say, Angela, I understand you'd like to do this project this way because you're used to it and it's flexible for you. And I want to recommend for us to go back and visit the guideline that we developed for this group, that we have a consistent approach and so forth and so forth. And then that way, we'll all have an easy way to integrate from your project to our project and be a lot more efficient. Because that way you can really go through the rationale. All that, right, takes time to build the relationship and do your right homework and how to articulate. And then this may not just be a one-time conversation, it could be multiple times. Again, practice active listening so that they get to share their perspective and you acknowledge, oh, I see, that's what you mean. Got it. And figure out how it may not be my way, may not be just their way, but it could be our way. And say, maybe we can improve the guidance, right? Be open-minded. Okay, next.
Okay, next question. How to find good mentor within the company that you are working at?
Yes, very good question. And I practice this big time in my 33 years. So in our course, we'll go into detail. And then there's a talk on August 4th in Chinese. We'll also cover some of that as well. And then YouTube, I cover some. So in general, again, always start with prayer. That you would pray the right person. I did that for the about 30 mentors I had from different stages in my career. If it's the right person that you have great respect for, may or may not be a Christian. Many of my mentors are Christian at work, so happen. And that you pray and said, this is the right person and pray for the right opportunity. So including the person who runs the whole company right now, the CEO of the current, my company that I retired from. I was blessed to have mentoring session with him, even though he's not a Christian, and I got to share the gospel with him. And yet he's the one who spent a lot of time with me, really. So you pray through them and prepare. And we're going to go through this in detail in our August course, how to prepare your own information, so-called information interview to say, I only have 30 minutes with this mentor, that I pray through this is the right person and I have the opportunity to run into them and ask them if they'll be willing. And most of the time they would say yes, and we'll be very respectful to match their schedule, just like how all my mentors are doing, my mentees are doing with me. And I have a process before, during, and after what to prepare. And then when you prepare, it's something very quick and simple, easy, not the whole resume. I have a resume in PowerPoint, just a couple of slides, and we'll cover that in the August course. so that it's easy for you to tell your mentor who you are, what your questions are, and that they'll have half of the time to share with you their thoughts and their advice. So also companies have mentoring groups, and different employee resource group also allow mentors to match with mentees. So they're also group mentoring. So I think there are many different ways you can go find mentor. Start with prayer, and then find the right person with the skill that you're interested in, how to prepare for yourself. And hope you come to our course and we could show you more specific tools to get ready. Next.
Okay, let's see the next question. The ultimate purpose of the work from the believer perspective.
Very good question. That's our first lesson, to get the right mindset. Why do we work? Who do I work for? And where do I work, and so forth. So the good news is your work is a whole lot more than your paycheck. Your work is a calling. That's why our ministry is named Call to Work. Everyone is called to work, whether it's a homemaker, whether you're an engineer, you're a doctor, you're a chef, you're a police, you're a teacher. Every one of us is called to work. And it's very exciting because our work is not just for a paycheck or for a particular job level or some promotion. Your work is a calling. And that's the beginning of our first lesson, to really get energized, loving our work. And that I would say, we can thank God it's Monday. It's not thank God it's Friday, because God cares about our work. So that's our first lesson to share more in detail. Next.
Okay, I think the next two questions are kind of similar. I think it's like talk about they apply different position at a company. Okay, let me read these two questions. Maybe teacher Elaine, you can combine two questions in one answer.
Yeah.
Okay, how do we customize our resume for different position for the same company? Would that be appropriate? The second question is that there were 3 job position promotion in one company. Should I include all 3 job experience in one company? Maybe too long, or just the final one on the CV?
Good. Thank you, Angela. Good 2 questions. I'll combine them and answer together. So I worked for one company for 33 years. So I actually did show my different job, different organization. And if you have promotion, it shows your progression. It's a good thing. It's a matter of how much you need to put in detail. So if you have a 3 promotion, it's good to show your progression. And yet you may not want to show too much detail on your entry job or even the intermediate, but then your recent new promotion job, you can put a little bit more detail. Remember, and go back to what I share on the winning resume, how you want to be clear and concise. So I hope that answers. And the resume discussion and the example I gave you are very good, that you can rewatch the video to help you answer this as well. Okay.
Okay, that's all our question. And then I think teacher Elaine, can you do the closing prayer? And then before that, I think everybody know that all the talk, the recording, if you register, we will send you the recording. And if you don't, then you can contact me, and okay, also that you can put a chat on your email, then we can collect it and share with you. Yeah. So
yeah, if you register, you'll be sure to get it. If you didn't register, go ahead and put your email in the chat or private chat to Angela. So this is a superb I talked about in the college application. I started telling you servant leadership, uniqueness, passion, persistence, then excellence in your schoolwork, your activities, your character, and so forth. Reliable and resourceful, and build trusted relationship, including your teachers and guidance counselor and people who would be writing the recommendation for you. So those are very important quality. And I'll give you my contact information in case you're question about the course. I don't usually do one-on-one with people who are not in my class. So if you want to do one-on-one, I welcome you to take the class with us and we'll learn together. Okay, so let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we honor you, we worship you, we thank you for just your love and your grace and your gift of salvation for us. And in you, we have our identity. In you, we found the purpose and the calling for our work, for our study. And in you, we know how to be our best. So we pray that you help each one of us to seek you in our study, in our work, so that we can be the best that we can be and that you have intended us, and help us to find our purpose, our principle, passion, our people, and our performance in different stages of our life. And bless everyone who came today, and that they have something they can take away to do well in their resume, the interview, and then we'll finish up the performance review in our course as well. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.